G'day guys and gal, I can already feel the seething stubborn rage of the Yellow Boys as well as Valrak's response video on the way, but fuck it, I'm going full whole hog here, foreskin pulled all the way back and ready to dive into a harsh reality of the current lore of the Imperial Fists. 40k Imperial Fists are lame as shit, a shadow of their 30k counterpart in every way and outshined by their own successor chapters. We know this, but why? Why has GW shat on the Imperial Fists so hard after they were the most goated of all legions during the Heresy? Why are their modern characters forgettable and their lore stale when 30k had them as one of the most interesting and diverse of all legions? Is there some nefarious actors at play, or are they actually cool and we just don't realize it? Does anyone actually know who their chapter master currently is? Before we get started, you'll never guess what I'm about to say. Hanukkah! Didn't see that one coming, did ya? Anyway, the thing I actually want to talk about is the limited release of the Praetorian, the latest and greatest major mini we have. A golden god returned to the setting with better details, proportions, girth, riz and aura, and don't forget those mutton chops. This model was months in the making and only has 1 week before it's gone for good. Comes in 3 different scales: tabletop for all your wargaming needs, art scale for those that want to paint larger details, and Titanic for those that want a larger than life boy. Once this model is gone, it's gone. Don't miss out. Link is below. Today we'll discuss why modern Imperial Fists seem so mid compared to their 30k counterparts, detailing the differences and why this could have happened. Let's get into it. I can already hear the rage of Dawn fans, but this is less about shitting on the Imperial Fist than it is glazing what they once were. The Imperial Fists, during the Heresy, were the most impactful of all legions. The only legion that came close were the Sons of Horus, but Dawn successfully cut them extremely hard in a masterful play of pure strategic genius during the siege, which easily put the Imperial Fists on top of them. The good old Saturnine Gambit. During the Heresy, it was confirmed that if Dawn sent his legion to Isfahan, they would have destroyed the traitors. However, the Alpha Legion would have then taken Terra. Dawn's Retribution fleet, numbering only about a third or less of a legion, outclassed the Iron Warriors and Perturabo. They were literally on track to destroy the Iron Warriors despite being outnumbered until a recall order from Dawn stuffed things up. During the Siege of Terra itself, the Imperial Fists were the backbone, managing to hold Terra against a significantly larger traitor force, bolstered by the Dark Mechanicum and a shitload of demons. These guys were just seriously the best, I cannot say it enough. But it wasn't necessarily their achievements that made them so awesome in 30k, although that definitely helped. It was how interesting and engaging the Imperial Fists were. You wouldn't be able to tell from 40k Fists, but just like how the Ultramarines are based off Rome, the Space Wolves are based off Vikings, and the White Scars are based off Mongolians, the Imperial Fists also had an aesthetic rooted in ancient times. Unlike the other legions though, they had multiple aesthetics. See, the Fists were very knightly. The Templars were Sigismund's personal chapter within the legion, specializing in sword combat. However, the Fists also had Scandinavian influence, as Fafnir Rand led his executioners into vicious line-breaking charges, axes in hand, war cries roaring from them. Honestly, I wouldn't blame you if you mistook him and his warriors for Space Wolves. Not to mention the Huskars, who were Dawn's elite honor guard. They did also have a touch of Rome, as did most legions, as Alexis Pollux's Retribution fleet hyper-specialized in shield wall boarding actions, which is why they were dominating the Iron Warriors. People often call the Fists unbendable and unversatile, as stiff as the rock they build their fortresses out of, but in fact they were actually the most tactically and aesthetically diverse of all the legions. Now I was doing some name dropping there, so let's dive into that. The Imperial Fist had Sigismund, the greatest Astartes warrior to ever live, a warrior so powerful the Emperor chose him as his champion and whom was gifted a supernatural black sword. During the siege, Sigismund was literally told to go out and kill as many traitors as possible. He slowed down the entire traitor advance because his force was just moving through no man's land, ripping traitor forces to shreds, and then other traitor forces would hear about Sigismund and be desperate to be the ones to claim the glory of slaying the Emperor's champion. So countless traitor forces were trying to find Sigismund and his Templar brethren, peeling off from the main assault. On top of that, as each traitor champion wanted the glory of the kill for themselves, they did not coordinate with rival champions, so their force would encounter Sigismund one at a time. There's unintentionally hilarious scenes from the Siege of Terra books hyping up various traitor champions, glazing them and making them seem destined to be the one to finally slay the Templar, only for Sigismund to cut through them like chaff, not even taking notice of who they were. Siggy wasn't the only Fist going beast mode though. Whilst Dawn, the Emperor Sigismund and their strike force went to the Vengeful Spirit to confront Horus, the Imperial Fist Archaemus was tasked with holding the palace, and boy did he hold it. Not only did his men hold the line against impossible odds, but he constantly orchestrated counterattacks. Overzealous traitor forces drunk on glory thinking they had already won would find their forces torn to shreds by crossfire from ambushing gun lines. Then of course we can't forget Fafnir, whose force literally held the final line and was butchering traitors non-stop until Horus himself fell. Away from Terra, the Fists still dominated. Alexis Pollux was given command of Dawn's Retribution fleet, 30,000 Fists tasked with going out and destroying the traitors. Now on paper this wasn't really a great idea. If they encountered a legion, which was their objective, they would be outnumbered. But they had one advantage. See, Perturabo was coming for them, however he expected them to be led by Sigismund. Sigismund is a brilliant commander, known for his aggressive tactics and fast-paced engagements. Alexis is the opposite, just as, if not more brilliant, but known for his conservative, slow, steady, and calculating approach. When the two fleets collided, Perturabo was overly aggressive as they were expecting to match Sigismund's ferocity, but with bigger ships and more warriors, fighting fire with fire. However, instead they were met with a staunch line of ships, covering each other, packed not with bloodthirsty Templars with big swords, but instead disciplined shield walls of fists that had been relentlessly drilling for months. When Iron Warriors boarded Imperial Fist ships, they were mowed down. When Imperial Fist boarded Iron Warrior ships, they cleared them deck by deck, took the bridge, and then sent the ships to their grave. The Fists even managed to land an assault force on Perturabo's own flagship, who fought their way to Perturabo and engaged him in battle. They died, but the fact they got that far was insane. The only thing that saved Perturabo was the literal Chaos Gods intervening, as a recall astropathic message from Terra reached Alexis, ordering all forces to immediately return to defend the homeworld. Alexis was so disciplined that he sacrificed the glory of the battle and immediately withdrew, losing a lot of men in the process. Now I say Chaos Gods caused this because the warp had been blocking all astropathic messages until then, and the odds that one finally got through just before Alexis was going to win is basically impossible unless other forces were at play. Likewise, when the Fists withdrew, they didn't end up at Terra, but instead in Ultramar. So I think the Chaos Gods were like, oh fuck, we need the Iron Warriors, the other traitor legions are way too retarded to do this without them, and allowed that one message to go through. That's personally my headcanon about that. Perturabo was extremely shaken by the battle. In a pretty funny scene, he popped his head out of the airlock to watch the battle with his own eyes. The irony being that he doesn't have any windows on his flagship, the Ironblood, because he alleges that he finds them pointless as space battles are fought with logic and data, trusting computers and information to make decisions, with an eye-naked view being redundant. However, the battle was going so unexpectedly that he wanted to see it with his own eyes. After this battle, Perturabo distanced himself from his sons, who he now saw as weak and fully relied on the Iron Circle, robots slaved to his command as his new bodyguards. This was all caused by Alexis Pollux, a sub-commander of the Imperial Fist who was only recently promoted, and not to forget the epic last stand of Captain Camber Diaz during the Siege of Terra, who has the coolest name in the entire setting. What I'm saying is these guys were fucking goated. So what the hell happened? Why do the modern Fists barely get lore? Why do we barely know their character names? Why do they only have 2 unique 40k models? Why has the Black Templars, a successor of them, gotten so much more love and attention, in both the lore and on tabletop? There's 2 reasons, the in-law reasons as well as the business reasons by GW. I'll start with the in-law. After the Heresy, Dawn shat the bed pretty hard with the Iron Cage. Basically, he Leroy Jenkins'd his entire legion at a death trap built by Perturabo, in which most of them died. This knocked them down significantly as a power in the galaxy and benched them extremely hard. Then out of all those awesome characters I previously mentioned, Sigismund went off to found the Black Templars, Alexis Pollux went off to found the Crimson Fists, Fafnir went off to found the Executioners, Dawn got himself into a pickle and vanished, so the Fists lost most of their legion, then all the cool dudes went off to found their own chapters or vanished. To make matters worse, during the War of the Beast, the Imperial Fist actually got completely wiped out and annihilated, killed to the last man. The chapter was then rebuilt using donated gene seed from various Imperial Fist successor chapters, but it literally made them the only legion in the setting to actually get wiped out. Not even the Sons of Horus got wiped out. They merely got rebranded. Now some people say this means there are no true Imperial Fists anymore, but since the War of the Beast was soon after the Heresy, the successor chapter of the Imperial Fist would more or less have pure Imperial Fist gene seed. So I wouldn't say that there are no true Fists. See, over time, as the successor chapter builds their own identity, their gene seed slowly changes as well. After 10,000 years, Black Templar gene seed is now very distinct from Imperial Fist gene seed. However, when they were founded, it would have been identical. So that does explain why they were knocked out of the setting pretty hard. Also, for some reason, GW decided the Imperial Fist lost their ability to spit acid, because apparently someone at HQ hates them, I guess. Now for why GW decided to push them so far out of the setting and make them a backup dancer to their own show. Now this is a bit of speculation, as GW hasn't said this 100%, but I'll cut my own dick off if I'm wrong. The reason why Imperial Fists barely get any attention, in mine and many other people's opinion, is because yellow paint is such a fucking pain in the ass to work with. It has very poor pigmentation, requiring numerous layers of paint to look consistent, or you need an airbrush. I'd honestly say it's harder to work with than white, and white can lick my balls. On the flip side, the reason why Ultramarines are so popular is because blue is an incredibly easy paint to work with. The pigmentation is great and doesn't require many layers to look good. The idea being that if GW wants someone to buy a box and get into the hobby, if they put Imperial Fists on the front, a lot of new people will paint them like that, then get extremely frustrated that their models look like complete shit and quit. Whereas if they paint Ultramarines, even pretty basic and not very well painted Ultramarines still look pretty good because the blue and gold aesthetic is very forgiving from a pigmentation point of view. It's also why for 30k models, GW is happy to give the white White Scars, Salamanders, and other harder to paint legions the spotlight instead of the Ultramarines because 30k is generally for more advanced hobbyists that know how to deal with these colors. It's rare for a newbie's first set to be a Heresy box over a 40k box. But now let's actually look at the 40k Imperial Fists, their key characters, and their key moments to determine if they are actually as lame as I'm making them out to be, or if they actually have awesome lore that for some reason we just haven't clued in on yet. Now I'm not going to sit here and pretend the Imperial Fists have done nothing. They are still staunch, they still have the phalanx, and they're still the loud and proud protectors of the Imperium. But they are inherently cucks to the galaxy's events. That is because they are the Praetorians of Terra, thus very rarely leave Terra in any meaningful numbers. Likewise, Terra hasn't really been attacked much since the Heresy. One time during the War of the Beast in which all of the Fists died, then by the Demons of Khorne when Guilliman returned, but that was much more the Custodians' time to shine rather than the Fists. If you look at their battle record, it's full of honors in the modern setting, but they have been busy bees, buzz buzz. But so many of their engagements just feel like filler, defending a world from Dark Eldar raiders here, taking out some orcs there, helping Guilliman over there. After the fall of Cadia, which the Imperial Fist performed awesomely at by taking out the Blackstone Fortress, kind of, with the Phalanx, they returned to their station on Terra. As a note about their current aesthetic, they used to have Viking, Crusade, and Rome aesthetics. Now they're honestly just really generic Space Marines. As for their two notable characters, they have Tor Garadon, who is a cool character, but reading about him, he just doesn't hit as hard as legends like Marnius Calgar, Dante, Mephiston, Logan Grimnar. He's more of a B-team character, hanging out with Cato Sicaris in that tier as well as in the lore. The Fists also have Darnath Lysander, who is their more reckless, unconventional character. His desire for direct battle and war is much as a liability as it is an asset, but that type of character is a tale as old as time in Warhammer. Can anyone guess who the chapter of the Imperial Fists is? It's not Garadon and it's not Lysander. I'd actually give $200 to whoever gets it. It was Vladimir Pugh, but he died at the end of M41 to Tyranids. Vaughn Hagen took over, but then basically immediately died during the Khornite invasion of Terra. Now Gregor Dessian is in charge. Who is that? No fucking idea. He has no official art or official model. It's just a weird situation the Fists find themselves in. With Rogel Dawn almost certainly going to be one of the last Primarchs to return if ever, and GW not seemingly interested in making nicely pigmented yellow paint, I just don't see much of a bright future for the Dawny boys. It's not that they're a bad chapter, but compared to the Legion they once were, it's hard not to feel like they've taken a huge L. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up the Praetorian. Only 1 week left before he's gone, show him some love. Hit the subscribe button, hit the real subscribe button for more disappointing content. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.